What? Do I have the goddamn what?
We're on. Do you have the video pulled up?
No. Why would I have a video pulled up that you told me 20 minutes ago to pull up? I'm just a drunk son bitch that don't know nothing about.
Don't worry. I'll be turning that off forthwith.
Please.
I'm
are we segmenting this? Are we
segmenting?
Fuck! Not even a minute in, and I'm already stumbling over my words. Sounding drunk. Are we going to set this up, or are we just going to fire it downrange?
No, I mean here's the funniest thing that I was thinking.
It's not. It's kind of
David,
in tow with.
Tell the people what you spent your time today doing.
I don't think that's. Only me and my FBI agent should know really what I was doing today in my private time. Dang.
Oh.
I don't want to self-incriminate. I think that's the first rule.
That doesn't sound like a story. I want to hear the rest.
I think that's the first rule.
I don't
of being on trial is don't self-incriminate.
I think there's enough innuendo going on there.
Innuendo?
Yeah, innuendo.
I hope it better not be a me-endo.
There's enough of that going on in that conversation.
I gotta go see a proctologist immediately. All right, so you want to just play the video and then we'll see how it ties into
but I feel like this is so us.
Oh, this is so Raven. That's so Raven.
Yeah. This is so David.
Hey,
look at that.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, is that our celebrity couple name? Oh, that's our celebrity couple name.
It sounds like somebody like stubbed their toe saying David. Like, hey, David. Anywho,
what the other half of David was doing today, I was reading the article 6 Reasons Libertarians Should Reject the Non-Aggression Principle. Written on a libertarian website by libertarianism.com.
I try to
Matt
keep
Zwolinski
it loose.
is the author.
Try to make it sexy. Hang my I'm not gonna go that far that quickly.
So David,
but let's add some sex to the.
So why don't you tell the people what you were doing today?
Well,
I was going to take a bit of an explanation.
I was finding fucking videos on the interwebs and different applications that might come into play later. However, I found a little gem that I would like to share with you and the community.
Wait, you were doing research for the show and you found this?
Yes, absolutely. With a scientific lab coat on and a rectal thermometer in my pocket. So anyway, I was on 9gag earlier, one of my premier applications. And I stumbled upon this video that has something to do with, I feel like, the vagaries of what we're going to discuss this week. And basically, it's an 8-year-old boy confronting a man about the sex.
Okay, bye, Dad. Have fun at school, bud. Hey, little man. That's your son? Yeah, that's my son. So you did it, then? What? You had the sex? What's up? With a woman? How dare you? Hey, babe. Hey, babe. Who's this? Silence, wench. You laid with this harpy. Okay, kid, that's my wife. Spare me your malcontent. I will not hear your siren song. In all my 8 years, never have I seen such petulance, such disregard, such decay. Alright, what was over on the smoke? You gonna go back to the shadow. We're rolling on the smoke. I have toiled with pieces of smoke and fire all my life, sir. Talking shit. I am the smoke. Hey, Timmy, what's going on here? They did the sex. That's gross.
I am the smoke.
Go back to the shadow. So all you fuckers out there doing the sex, you know where you belong. Go back to it.
Oh, man, come to the show notes page. Tell me if my article sounds more interesting than that video or not. And go to YouTube. Make sure you subscribe too, because get notifications. The videos are coming out. You'll get funny shit.
And by the way, if you have the source of
David
the originator of that, please let us know.
We would give them credit.
There's a good chance that we're letting the entire internet know about something that it was awesome 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Very true.
Anyway, with that being said, let's jump in. Weapons of Meme Destruction podcast episode 29 can be found at wmdpodcast.com/29. YouTube, all the podcast apps, and find us on all the social media. But go to that website first, join the email list. That's how you stay in contact with us, because after the title of this episode, we're probably getting canceled. David, we made it almost to 30.
I mean,
not now.
It was almost a third of the way.
I guess
we needed 4 more sods.
I guess.
And by the way, all that when you dropped in about a minute before you think that you did, because I'm leaving all that pregame.
No, you're not leaving. You're not leaving all that in.
The pregame in.
That's definitely getting cut out. It took us 10 minutes to get to the damn intro in the first place. We don't have time for that.
We don't have that kind of money. We didn't invest in Bitcoin or game stonks this week.
Game stonks, exactly. And that is the subject of today's episode, because you might hear this a little bit late, because as you know, this is a weekly podcast, but we are recording this on the Friday after basically Hell Week as far as Melvin Capital is concerned.
If I may?
Yes, I think you may.
Armageddon out of here.
Some of the Reddit boys are.
Speaking about the stock market.
Some of the Reddit boys are on the moon.
Let's launch off.
Alrighty. All right, so here's the real big takeaway from this thing. And
do you want to tell them what the thing was?
Well, I want to theme of the episode first, and then we're gonna get into it.
Let's explain ourselves.
Yes.
For being graphic.
You may have heard us say this over the past few weeks. If not, you're seeing it on social media.
Insensitive?
Yes.
Accusatory?
That's what they're going to be towards us?
Sure. I'm just throwing out all the words that I
mean,
know.
that's rude. They should stop, but they should first
You should try to understand us.
Okay.
And know our true story.
And maybe you should try to estimate us.
Next time.
Michael Scott. Okay. So, brief explanation of what's gone on with the whole GameStop, Reddit boys, et cetera, et cetera. Very, very, very brief explanation here. So, a couple hedge funds shorted GameStop stock by about 140%. For those of you keeping the quick maths at home, that's more than the GameStop stock actually were in existence. So they shorted up to about 140%, and some dudes, some stimmy check bros over on Reddit were like, hey, I think there's an opportunity here. If we drive this stock up and they can't fulfill their contracts without losing a whole bunch of money, we can create what's called a short squeeze, where once their contracts come due, they have to buy in and buy shares, which is going to drive the price up even more. We can get them into a short squeeze, and we can make them basically hang themselves. We're going to give them enough rope to hang themselves, and we can all get rich in the process. Within a few days, that stock, the plan worked beautifully. The stock shot up from about $18 to a high of, I think, 480 something, a little after lunch on Wednesday. So it worked. And within about 3 days, some stimmy check boys on the subreddit Wall Street Bets, they distributed more wealth from the 1% to the 99% than 150 years of socialism, David. I'd say that's pretty good 3 days, huh?
Well, I'd call them underachievers to begin with. Why didn't you just try to pay everybody the stimulus check that we all needed for Corona in one fell swoop? You fucking think for yourselfers. Why don't you start thinking
the
about
Reddit boys?
Yeah.
Okay.
You sons of bitches. Speaking completely in jest, obviously.
Yeah.
I like what they did. I like the panache. I like the huevos rancheros that they needed to do this particular act. And let's not forget that the big moniker on Reddit is that it's not about the money. It's about sending a message. And if you know what movie that's from, I applaud you.
And you know exactly the point he's trying to make.
Exactly. The same point the character is trying to make in the movie.
David, are you saying our generation is the smoke?
We are. We've toiled with beasts of fire and flame our entire life, sir. Unfortunately, we've been driven to this conundrum.
I love how that video unintentionally is a perfect visualization, both in terms of the humor and the seriousness of it, of exactly what happened with this Reddit thread. That's beautiful.
Well, it's
Totally.
It's that pop psych thing where like when you're a kid, you want to be Batman, right? Everyone wants to be Batman. I want to fight crime. I want to punch villains in the face, and I want to capture the bad guy and put him in jail, and injustice will be served. But then when you get older, it's like things become more blurred and more skewed, and then you start to realize that maybe, just maybe, the Joker had a better point and a more fair point than did so the Batman. The Batman has shown Gotham our true colors, unfortunately. In the end, he's just the beginning. And as for the television's so-called plan, I'm not going to stop. You have to go. I'm going to keep going.
Oh, okay. That was my
right.
You going on a long
He's a
movie
squealer.
quote is my
I'll find him and we'll make him squeal.
chance to go. All right. So, sticking with the world as our generation has pretty much seen it our entire lives, but other generations have seen it.
Not to pat ourselves on the back, because we don't think that we're the best generation.
This isn't an accomplishment.
We're also the same generation.
We're not
that
happy
thinks
to have
that
seen
a lot
these
of things are the way that they aren't.
Yeah.
So
this
is the one thing we got right.
So I don't know whether it's right or wrong, and we'll get into that in a second. But the point is that we're willing to take it to a level that maybe other generations haven't been, just because of what we've seen so far.
You think we're willing to spice it up a bit?
Exactly. So, as you might imagine, the big boys on Wall Street want to regulate. Yeah. So, and
Regulator.
again, this is not, I want to be clear about this, because there is another side to this story, and you're going to hear all over the cathedral's media.
Pause. Define the cathedral, please.
Yes. So to define the cathedral again, like I did the beginning of the episode, or maybe I didn't.
No,
I don't know. My brain doesn't work sometimes.
It's okay. I'm on here.
But anyway, you're right. Sticking with the theme. So the cathedral is a catch-all term that you'll see used in a lot of places on the internet to refer to Hollywood, the media, Beltway, DC, any other kind of famous people.
Lobbyists, socialists.
Right. It's basically just people who basically have a hive mind, like the Borg from Star Trek, right?
Revert back to our t-shirt, the them.
Yeah, exactly.
The they.
And so they're going to tell you speculation is bad. Bad. No, there's a very healthy market function for speculation. The idea is to drive wasted capital, like a failing business model, like, a GameStop, right? A company that's selling physical copies of video games in 2021 and giving you $1 for it in exchange when you bring it back 6 months later.
Well, they were doing that back in the way back.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's a failing business model. From an economic resources perspective, you want to have resources out of that model faster than maybe otherwise would happen. And that's what Wall Street speculation does. It does have a healthy function for the economy.
It lets the things die that need to die.
So we're not jumping on the AOC, dumb guy politician or dumb girl politician X bandwagon who has their...
Dumb person. How about that?
Right. Who has their narrative version of events. We can admit speculation is good, but you can go overboard with it. And that's what these hedge funds did. Like I said, leveraged a company up to 140% of its shares.
Overboard, great movie.
That's
Kurt
ridiculous.
Russell, Goldie Hawn.
So now they're calling for regulation, and which is rich, because what I'm about ready to play for you is a video.
It's rich. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I'm about to play for you a video. The CEO of the NASDAQ, one of the largest, richest, and most powerful exchanges in the world, the CEO is calling for regulation.
As I call it, the index.
Because as you'll hear, she wants to manage the situation.
Let's manage this bitch.
I do think, though, that as we look at these new technologies that are there available to everyone, including investors, I think it's also important for regulators to understand that, manipulation is manipulation, whether it's happening through a new technology medium or it's happening through traditional mail. So I think it's just a matter of making sure that we understand what the behavior is, what's underpinning the behavior, and working appropriately with the regulators to manage the situation.
To manage the situation. working with regulators. You have the CEO of one of the largest exchanges in the world saying she wants to now work with regulators to, quote, manage the situation.
Hey, Dane, what's another word for manage? What would you want to do to a situation that is understandably out of control?
Oh, I mean, from your perspective, if it's out of control, yeah, you want to control it. Get it under control.
Thank you.
So, I mean, David, I think your Einsteinian level of plugging in here, because as his old quote goes, if you can't explain it to a preschool, you don't understand it well enough. I mean, you pretty much explained that thing in a sentence. Yeah.
So what's happening here is that there was some things that happened that we didn't have any idea that could happen. But while they're happening now, we're going to stop it and we're going to keep it from happening again, so that all the people that have a lot of money in this particular facet, we're going to make sure that you keep your money there and that you have every amount of confidence in us.
And just to be clear about what they mean and who they mean are going to be managing it. Falling on that side of the fence is former SEC chairman. Yeah,
Dane, I don't think that you know what you're about to say.
You know that body, that CEO of NASDAQ, Adina Friedman, wants, working with her to get the situation Friedman, managed.
Never heard of her.
She wants the regulators, right? That's the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. Well, their former, the SEC's former chairman, Arthur Levitt Jr., also is calling for an SEC investigation into the stock trading platforms, Robinhood, Webull, TD Ameritrade. We'll get to more of them in a second.
Dane, you're clearly making that up. That's clearly Jordan Joseph Leonard.
He wants them investigated for shutting down trading. Oh, and guess when he happened to be chairman of the Fed?
Don't guess.
Presiding over the dot-com bubble at the turn of the century. So that, just keep in mind that that's who's going to be managing. Don't listen to us about whether the situation should be managed or not. Just take the piece of information to the bank that who's doing the managing created that stuff.
Dane, I'm going to have to ask you to stop immediately because you're making us look really fucking bad. Anyway, we're gonna reassemble, we're gonna reinvest, and we're gonna redeploy, and we're gonna be stronger tomorrow than we were today. Back to you, Rita. Bob.
Let me give you a couple more falling down on that side of the fence, shall I? Janet Yellen, the new Treasury Secretary, the first one in American history that makes Biden's cabinet super, super diverse. Yeah,
diversity is what we're all about here.
She is quote unquote monitoring the situation. You know who Janet Yellen was? The Fed chairman before the current one, Jim Powell. Jim Powell.
That's awesome.
Ben Powell. John Powell.
Pow. Like that's on here.
I don't care what it is.
Why am I thinking about the Catalina wine mixer right now?
So we'll come back to Janet Yellen because she plays another integral part in this whole managerial situation. You got Elizabeth Warren who is chanting more regulation.
Who's a woman of the people, by the way.
Elizabeth Warren, let me recall.
A woman of the common folk.
Just a few years. Oh, yeah. Elizabeth Warren was the one that was really calling for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and she was super, super...
Dude, that sounds like it's going to protect the common person, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. That's weird.
You think that worked out for her?
Let's see what did it do? Did it protect the common person, Dane?
Shall we read on?
Please, I'm on the edge of my seat, Dane.
Well, it's even a little more macro than that because that agency was embedded in a larger bill you may recall called Dodd-Frank, whose primary goal for Dodd-Frank was to quote unquote regulate and to make the too big to fails not so big and not so faily. How do you think that part worked out, David?
So that the common person wouldn't have to rely on their bank failing to ruin their lives. They could just ruin their lives all by themselves. That sounds like a good thing, right, Dane?
Yeah. Well, you won't be surprised to learn if you've listened to 28 of these episodes that shortly after Dodd-Frank was passed, the too bigs to fail got bigger and more susceptible to failure. Because the regulations, you're never going to guess this, the too big to fails could hire the team of lawyers to comply with, but the little community bank, your little Sunrise Bank in the middle of Podunk, Kansas, that bank can't comply with all those regulations, so they shut down. So who steps in and gobbles up their customer base? the too big to fails who are now bigger. And again, with fewer competitors, there's more systemic risk and more susceptible to.
But Dane, don't you understand? If there's only 3 major banks, like, it's easy to keep regulation on them.
Yeah. So
it's so much easier to keep an eye on 3 people than it is 100,000.
You got that.
God damn.
I've seen families of 3 kids, and I've seen families of 300,000 kids, and it just doesn't work out.
Jesus Christ.
It's hard to feed all those.
Like, think about all the flies, families,
So that's that's the type of person who doesn't think there's enough regulation. Okay. And then you have AOC, obviously.
Hold on, let's not brush over that, because she was also
I brushed over that?
Well, a little bit. The fact that we just kind of let Elizabeth Warren off the hook. Period. Like, what was she? She was just a presidential candidate, not a couple of months ago. Mm-hmm. What was she championing? She was championing the fact that she was going to support the common folk. Like, she was going to bring back the middle class. She was going to bring back all these people that...
She's run on the CFPB and Dodd-Frank as good things.
I know.
She still thinks they're good things.
She's holding, like... Oh.
No, what she says is they're good things, but they didn't go far enough. Right? Because again, back into another theme from a callback episode, if you are completely convinced of your moral justified position in any public policy,
you just didn't give me enough control.
The only answer is double down.
I could do.
Right.
It was all I could do. You didn't give me enough control. You didn't give me enough power. Right. If only I had all the power, I'd have been able to make it gumdrops and lollipops for you.
David, if you're morally right, your policies can never be. They can't be wrong because it's a contradiction in your worldview.
Have you ever heard that phrase?
It's not just about meaning. If they're morally good,
Dane,
they're inherently going to be good for everybody.
You ever heard that phrase, Dane? It's a good one. It's classic. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Right, but I'm just putting the meat on the bones for why that's a
absolutely.
truism.
And I think
it's less cliche and more truism.
I think we've driven this point into the ground. I just wanted to make sure that it was 6 feet under.
Okay, well, we could have been on AOC like 2 minutes ago.
That's fine. We'll get to AOC.
All right. So anyway, AOC
your
is
little
taking
brassy, sassy self.
AOC is taking the general party tack of, I am super for the common man, and this is messed up.
I am the smoke.
Robinhood bad, yada yada yada.
Go back to the shadow.
But AOC is just it's a blind power grab as far as she's concerned. It is in very Trump-like fashion. Stir up your base, whoever that base is going to end up being, with populist rhetoric that is incredibly destructive. I mean, Ted Cruz had a 1-word tweet agreeing with when she put a tweet out like, this is bad, we need to investigate Robinhood. Ted Cruz was like, yep, or something like that, like a 1-word tweet. And her response is, you just tried to have me killed 2 weeks ago. Maybe you should sit this one out, but other GOPers, I'll work with you.
Can we dig into that for a second, please? Can we please?
Yes, go ahead.
Just from a psychological standpoint, do you know how egocentric and the lack of touch with reality that is? She condemned a senator that had nothing to do.
He stirred him up. He incited him. He was right there with Trump.
Was he down there? Was he down there revving him up? Was he a part of him?
Well, Trump wasn't.
Or was he sheltering in the bathroom? Granted, tweeting while he was doing it, because God knows these guys can't keep these fingers off these tweets. Anywho, he was sheltering just like she was.
You think he's the one tweeting? You think she's the one tweeting?
Maybe.
I don't know. She does say some stupid shit.
She says some god awful shit. All I'm saying is
that's the problem.
But she made it.
He's not.
She made it sound like they were all after her. They were only after little Miss AOC. They put their feet up on Pelosi's desk. They had a noose and they were looking for Pence. There was a lot of other people they were after, but to think they were only after you, the sweetheart of the house. We can't lose our champion darling, the one that wanted to make a list, not unlike Schindler's a couple of months ago. Oh, what would we do without her, Dane? Please. Save AOC. And her fucking lips.
David, are you suggesting, relatively artfully, I might add,
Thank you,
that she is failing to take a look in the mirror and saying that the only reason for the outrage happens to be on that side of the ledger? It's all
It was only the Republicans that caused that.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
no, all your rhetoric. Oh, I'm sorry. Weren't you just calling those people deplorables a couple of months ago? That didn't have any bearing on it. How dare you even insinuate that in this democracy?
I think your voice is not high enough.
Dismocracy is what it is. It's a goddamn dismocracy, and I'm fucking out of here is what it is.
Mimicking her.
All right, bye, OC. OC.
So
if your name's 3 letters, get the fuck out of my face.
I think are we done with that one, David?
Calmer than you are.
Okay. And to tie it back all up with this whole episode is about the cathedral and what it means when you're in it.
Dane, you want to describe that
and when you're out of it? Yes, I would like to, because also on what I believe is the 3rd time, I'm still not 100% I've accurately
could be the
described
5th. I don't know. I'm just gonna get you to define it as many times as I can.
Okay, a catch-all term referring to your Hollywood opinion molders, the media, the beltway, bipartisan consensus on every single issue except for like 2.3% of it. Your famous people, athletes, things like that. Basically, they all come out at the same time and all have the same opinion.
Any
it's like they're sitting around a script.
Right.
Yeah. Gillette, targeting its own customer base because it made sense to, virtue signal, whatever.
Wait, hold on. You want to make me feel bad about being a man? Wait, hold on. The man's company wants to make me feel bad about being a man? Don't talk to women. Wait, what? Yeah, don't talk to women. They don't want to be talked to. How am I supposed to propagate the species? They'll come to you, but they won't. That's the whole fucking dynamic. You're a piece of shit. I don't know what to do with this. I'm lost. I'm sorry. I didn't know my facial hair made me a misogynist. I just wanted to get laid tonight. And I thought I could say hi to her. No, don't you fucking dare. Don't rape her ear with your hi. Your colloquialisms. What are you, some kind of rabid animal? I was gonna buy her a drink. Holy fuck! You think she can't buy her own drink herself? You fucking piece of shit! They can fend for themselves! They fight in the UFC, goddammit! They're in the military, not on the front lines, but that's not the point.
David, are you done?
No!
Have you had enough, sir?
I think so.
Okay. Go ahead. That's like half of your next Netflix special. And you've already let it out there. There's going to be so many joke biters all over the place just stealing your stuff.
You sacks of shit. You know who you are.
Don't do it. WD Podcast had it here first. January 29th, 2021. We're dating
Trademark.
it so that everybody knows when it came into being.
Gillette's a piece of shit.
All right. The
Even
cathedral.
though I still like their razors, though.
Listen to how the chips stacked up against that Reddit thread, Wall Street Bets, in almost perfect unison. And like I said, compare it to recent memory. Compare it to COVID, how like the cathedral had the same opinion all at the same time about everything, all the way down to the meta-narratives of, trust the science. As if science is this monolithic thing. We've gone around and around in this podcast about it. You know what I'm talking about. It's like they have a script. Well, this is how the script played out against the Reddit boys. So first of all, the retail trading apps, Robinhood, TD Ameritrade has a version of it, and Webull, and probably some others, shut down trading on the apps in these specific stocks. And again, GameStop, AMC, Nokia, Express was in there for a while, and there's a whole other list of stocks that the people on Reddit were telling each other, buy this stock, we're going to drive up the price, we're going to cause these short squeezes, we're going to make a bunch of money. So all three of those quote-unquote competitors in the retail trading market shut them down at the same time on Wednesday afternoon. And what's funny is from Robinhood, the kind of ringleader of the whole thing. Robinhood says they want to protect their consumers from losing money by not allowing them to buy and force selling, which makes them lose money. So just like the CEO of Robinhood literally went on TV and said, we're trying to protect our losers, our losers. That's probably what they think about them, our consumers from losing money. And
Was
then
that a Freudian slip?
And then they make them lose money.
And then they make money.
Discord, a chat server over the internet, delisted the Wall Street Bets platform over Wednesday night. You know what that means for the Reddit boys? That means they can't talk to each other and coordinate the next day's buying tactics during down hours the way that the big boys on Wall Street can do. They can talk to each other all night through their Bloomberg terminals. You know, they got 24/7 communication, not the Reddit boys. And then even on Reddit itself, the subreddit on Wednesday night, I was on it. The subreddit went private. I clicked on it and it says, you can't let you in. The mods have to let you in. Went private. Couldn't talk over the course of that night. Google, after a backlash against Robinhood, there's a flood of 1 stars on the apps, on the Google App Store for Robinhood, tanking the recommendation of the stock. Google removes thousands of those bad reviews off of its Google Play Store. And then to top the whole thing off, here are the dots connecting with some of the other people that we've pointed out here. The biggest hedge fund that lost money in this whole thing was Melvin Capital, about $14 billion. Hedge fund is owned by another firm called Citadel. Over the last couple of years, Janet Yellen has gone to some Citadel events and been paid healthy speaking fees to do that. Yeah, the current sitting Treasury Secretary, she's been paid about $800,000 in just speaking fees over the last few years.
But thank God she's a woman.
Yep.
Hashtag progress.
Hashtag diversity. And you're never going to guess, none other than Ben Bernanke himself is an advisor to Citadel Capital.
Now, if you're an idiot like me, you're thinking, I know I should know that name, Bane. But who is Ben Bernanke one more time, just in case I forgot?
Oh, yeah. Ben Bernanke, he was the chairman of the Federal Reserve right before Janet Yellen. You know, the one that guided us through the housing crisis where Wall Street and the banks got huge bailouts on our back and we got nothing. Yeah, that chairman of the Federal Reserve.
Oh, you mean the same type of hedge funds that made erroneous business practices
that he's now an advisor to now?
Millions of people their entire life savings.
Yeah.
Is that the same people that you're talking about?
That group of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they got all the money, and then the people that lost all their life savings got dicked. I think that's the proper term. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
So
he's clearly an economic wizard.
Exactly. So yeah, not only are they making fantastic decisions, as you can tell, but there's a wee bit of conflict of interest going on here all over the place. And here's the beautiful thing about the Reddit boys. Whether they did it intentionally or on accident, they have pulled the curtain back on Oz in a way that...
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
that all of the protests...
I was always considered about the man in the boat. What's the man behind the curtain?
I don't know.
The man in the boat?
Man in the boat. You're losing me.
Well, clearly you've lost plenty of girlfriend in your day. So, anyway.
You know, I'm familiar with that reference.
That's
but
what I was referring
why
to.
would I think that you're going there from where we just were? Have you seen pictures of Ben Bernanke and Janet Yellen?
They're so hot.
Your brains would be nowhere near.
They're like so hot. They're like the hottest people ever.
Oh my god!
So
all right, David. I don't know why we
talk
have
to me
keep
about
doing
economics.
This, but
talk to me about economics. It's so hot. Oh, inflation rates. I'm almost there.
All right, I promised I was done, but here's the thing.
Sorry.
When the cathedral's all speaking in one direction, pay attention to what they're saying.
Verbiage.
And see where you think that whatever is being said in the direction they could go. Because here's the thing. When you have, I'll just people in generally the same generations. When you have AOC on one side saying the solution is, more control, government's got to step in, got to regulate these Robinhood apps. And again, I hope you pick from our explanation. We're not on the side of the apps. The apps are part of the cathedral. When they were told to march in a certain direction and you stop trading on these X, Y, and Z stocks, they were more than happy to capitulate. Now, whether that was through implied pressure or explicit pressure, I don't know. I don't care. The point is, they went in lockstep with the cathedral when the time came. And AOC as a member of that cathedral is saying, I want control of regulating everything. The one who, as soon as somebody disagrees with her by 2.3%, they are sending in insurrectionists to kill her, and she is so far above them, she doesn't even need their agreement when they actually agree with her. Yeah, that person wants more control.
Hold on.
Or the Reddit boys, who themselves have been saying all over the thread, we don't want socialism. We just want free markets.
They just want to send a message.
Yes, and send it they did.
I want half. All I'm saying is, you try to play fair, you try to play to win, try to be a good person. Why do the nice guys always finish last? Because I'd argue that they didn't have all the information. That's what I'd say. I'd say, fuck them all, let it burn.
How very Wall Street bets of you.
Well,
you'd fit right in over there.
Oh, well.
With all your knock moon shots.
Maybe I should be a
CEO
advisor to the stonks companies.
Oh, which, by the way, thank you for reminding me that, because we did not explain our very, very offensive cancelable title.
I thought
we almost got out of this episode.
Right.
I would have been in big trouble. Okay, anyway.
It's a good thing that we waited until the 23rd fucking hour.
If you made it all the way to the end, we're
23 hours and 59 minutes and 30 seconds. You better get it in, son.
A little bit of explanation about the Reddit boys. At the same time,
the reason we named our episode this, by the way.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
At the same time that they are achieving very real world consequences, like I said at the launch of the show, these people on this subreddit have distributed more wealth from the 1% to the 99% than 150 years of socialism. So they are single-handedly...
Fans. 2 thumbs pointing right back at us. Huge fans. Keep going.
These are, these are kids that are kids, young adults, men, sometimes women. I don't know.
You have no idea. Could be Randy Marsh for all you know.
Right, exactly.
Could be a 50-year-old.
That's true. But some they're making smart plays, and they're all over the chat board calling each other retards.
They call themselves the retards.
Yeah. They're like, oh, hey, I don't understand X, Y, or Z. Just a fellow retard here. Any explanation would help. And somebody will come in and either give them a long explanation, or they'll just give them a keyword to send off. Right. So, they're calling themselves retards.
It's a colloquialism.
And it's also very intelligent from their perspective, because they're like, we're a step ahead of the game. We already know if this thing has any effect at all, the cathedral is going to be calling us dumb kids. We're irresponsible with money. They need to take it away from us.
Or option
B.
They're
going to try to call us stupid.
Or option B, they could try
to
hitch their wagon to them and then ride this into the new era of this is how we get in. And then we start riding that to where we can control it, manipulate it, and then understand it, and then subjugate it. But they can't jump on the wagon because their rhetoric is VMized by that side. Like, we've already been told you can't say retard anymore. You can't say it. Even though it's a medical definition or was in the DSM for years upon end, that a mental retardation was a state. But it was a colloquialism that just transcended that. And then now we're saying that you can't say that word. It's a canceled word.
Right. Now
and so they're using a canceled word so they can't be subjugated and turned into a tool for that side.
Here's more genius to the whole thing. Because of that, they know that they're almost forcing the hand of the cathedral right, to do what they know it's going to do. They're forcing a reaction. So when Discord delists them, when the subreddit turns their page to private and people can't talk, what did Discord and Reddit both say? There was hate speech on this. That's why we blocked them, not because of the economic thing, because of the hate speech.
And now we come back to Alex Jones.
So by calling themselves retards, they force the hand of the cathedral into an overreaction, which then does the pulling back of the mask from Oz. Because anybody with 2 cents in their head to rub together and an IQ above room temperature is going to go, really? You're mad about hate speech on your platforms now, just so happens to be on the exact day that Melvin Capital is in a multi-billion-dollar tailspin.
But they'll have explanations like they did with Robinhood, like, oh, there was just so many demands coming in that it crashed the site.
Right,
oh,
but
that's
here's
convenient. That's so convenient.
Here's the thing. The ones that are, and again, what they call themselves on the subreddit.
But we're just conspiracy theorists at this point.
The ones on the subreddit, this is a movement to them.
Yeah.
This isn't about making money.
It's about sending a message.
It is about sending a message. And the message
Joker line, and it's a great poignant part of that movie, and it's more poignant now than ever.
Yeah.
It's actual, they're taking their money, their livelihood, a lot of them. They're investing let's call it what it is. They're investing their life into making a stand against what's wrong with this world.
To send a message.
There it is. And to you guys, I can't say it enough. We take our hats off.
And exactly. Like, we're not saying that we condone everything that's said on that page. Like, maybe there is some bad stuff.
There's a lot of terrible shit.
But I think there's several million subscribers to the page now. So for us to say, like, listen, we're going to endorse everything that happens on the page, that's a little ridiculous. But what we are saying is we understand on at least one level what you're doing. You're doing something very tangible and that is sticking true to your principles. Now, we may have different principles than some of you, but that's neither here nor there.
On the overarching view, we probably see eye to eye.
But you're sticking to your principles, but the way you're getting your message across is with humor. Because, again, the historical throwback is, what was the court jester, David?
He was the only person that could tell the truth and not be decapitated for it.
Yeah, nobody else could tell the truth to power unless it was wrapped in a joke. Right. That was the purpose of the court jester.
Oh, yeah, the king's nice and fat over here, right? But us mangy gits, we're over here eyeing that rat that we think had a slice of chicken earlier. I bet his fecal matter tastes pretty good. We can all get on that, right? 5 of us fighting over it. And then the king goes, ha, 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 ha. And everybody else goes, yeah, what the fuck's up?
Every once in a while, you get a king who's like, oh, I see what he's saying there, and does something good. And then you have a Henry H who starts cutting people's heads off.
More often than not, let's be honest.
But, you're taking a gamble. But, fast forward. What are some of your best comedians? I mean, the one that immediately comes to mind on this topic is George Carlin.
I'd say Dave Chappelle, but go ahead, George Carlin.
George Carlin and Dave Chappelle, more contemporaneously.
Titans.
Yeah. George Carlin, like, that was his specialty.
George Carlin was great.
Was talking about society.
Lost a little in the end, but
okay,
keep going.
But anyway,
it's to be understood.
And then all the way up to the very purpose of this podcast.
Correct.
So we hope on this episode,
look thee at thine own ass first, and then judgest other assholes accordingly.
I think that is
that a t-shirt?
I think
just
that
like
is,
a little brown spot in the middle of a fucking t-shirt.
I think that's 1 David chapter 3 verses 7 through 14.
Yea, there was land, and there were beasts. Anyway,
all right. So find this episode. Most importantly, like and share.
What episode is this?
Every I was getting there.
I'm just making sure.
WMDpodcast.com/29 is where you can find this. Come to the website first. The email list is where you want to be. We are there more than once a week.
And by the way, we're totally planning on a sexy WMD podcast calendar, so keep your fucking digits prepped for it. We're going to get a nice little photo shoot. Dane in a thong, me in a Speedo. I don't know if there's a difference, but let's keep going. American flag on one, patriotism on the other. Maybe the what's the flag? The snake don't tread on me flag.
Gadsden.
Thank you. Dane will be wearing a Gadsden flag Speedo. I'll be wearing an American flag Speedo, and it'll be tasteful.
Nobody
but
wants any
eloquent.
part of any of that.
Dane, let's go all natural for this one. Let's not shave for 3 weeks, and let's let them see what we got.
All right, but even more important than that, and I swear to God, if this is merch on the page, if that's what you were setting up is to make that merch, I'm gonna murder you later.
I work in levels, son.
On the support us page, we finally have our payment processors set up, so you can come over there. You can support the show. You can do a one-time donation and a stair step of monthly donations if that's what you want to do.
Or if you got a little thing to pick up off of Amazon, come to the page.
You get
for it.
Special perks for each tier. Go to the page, check them out. And if we don't have it by the time you hear this, we want to get our Amazon link set up so we can make affiliate commissions through that too. That's how you can support the show without.
I thought we had it set up already. My mistake.
Yeah, no, I'm the lazy bastard who doesn't have a set up.
Yeah, you're the lazy bastard.
So anyway, that's why the website is your hub, but you can find us on all your podcast catchers and YouTube. Make sure you subscribe everywhere you can so you get notifications when new episodes drop.
Make sure that we're in your ear holes at least once a week, please. And if not in other people's ear holes, more other people's ear holes. Let's spread this democracy.
And listen here, memes.
Which is a libertarian democracy.
Keep moonshotting GameStop, NOC, AMC, Dogecoin. Keep moonshotting them all, boys and girls.
Or let's all agree to protect Elon Musk at all costs.
Fill those hands with diamonds and all hail Papa Musk.
Michael Jackson, handful of diamonds, nothing.
Over and out.